This is the single biggest change happening to the online business world here in 2025. You can either adapt to this change now and reap the rewards a few years down the line, or you can get absolutely screwed by it, fail to adapt, and get burned over the coming years. So let me dive into this. If you're not familiar with me, my name's Damon. I'm a fractional CMO. I have been running online businesses since 2017, started back with e-commerce stores way back in the day, 8 years ago now. Went through kind of the whole coaching phase and seen pretty much everything occur throughout that timeline. And there is one really big change that's happening that we're seeing right now in 2025, which is that a lot of these kind of online businesses are just becoming more sophisticated. Back when I started in 2017, online businesses were really this vehicle for like lifestyle. It was really much more centered around like people trying to quit their job, trying to move to South America, go surfing every day, and almost be like a hustler freelancer type of thing. It was a great way to make like a couple hundred grand a year while working very little. I think that was the goal back like a decade ago. Whereas now, like online businesses are not this kind of like small scale industry, hustler freelancer shit anymore. A lot of these are like more being run like real businesses, almost kind of like the startup world, I guess you would say. People are hiring teams, people are actually like getting offices, they are, running their business like a business, reinvesting the cash into it. And I think a lot of people who aren't doing that are getting just totally exposed this year. I've seen a lot of people here in 2025 that were doing extremely well back like 3 years ago, back around 2022, 2023, and they have just totally fallen off the map. They have switched up what they're selling. They've launched like 5 different offers in the last 24 months. They've all kind of flopped. And that's because these people don't really treat their business like a business. They are, every time things go well, they go and buy a Lamborghini or a new watch or, just go blow their money at the club or something instead of reinvesting that cash back into the business. Now, look at the flip side though. While most of these kind of online businesses are really struggling, they're really having a rough time this year, you also have people on the high end who are just killing it, just absolutely killing it. You look at like Alex Hormozy, for example, doing a $100 million launch in one weekend. That's insane. It's like they just did a webinar, made $100 million. And he started acquisition.com. He basically went the private equity route in that case. Or you could look at someone like an Iman Gadzhi. A couple years ago, all Iman Gadzhi really did was like agency stuff, swinging courses, and now he owns a good chunk of WAP, the payment processing company. He's putting a lot of time into that. That's basically $1 billion company nowadays. Um, so he kind of went the, I guess, SaaS route, or they both kind of turned it into real businesses in that case. On the flip side too, it's like I am a pretty well connected guy. I do a lot of consulting. I'm in a lot of, pretty high level groups and stuff. And over the last 5 years, like 2020 through 2024, I only saw two companies in the online business world kind of scale to that 40 million a year run rate, like pretty big level of scale in that case. In 2025 alone, I've seen four do it. In the last 10 months, four companies that I personally know have hit that sort of run rate. I only saw two of those in the last 4 years. What I guess the point I'm trying to make here is like you're seeing this level of sophistication increase. People are running their businesses like real businesses. They aren't, using this as a lifestyle vehicle or just like a cash flow vehicle to buy cars. People are actually running online businesses like businesses. The people who are succeeding with that, people on the high end are making more money than ever. They are absolutely killing it. And a lot of them too are kind of getting out of just like the typical online business and they're going into like real businesses, like going into private equity, like Alex Hormozy, or they're going into real startups like Iman Gadzhi, or you look like an Alex Becker, for example, breaking into the SaaS world, running a $110 million SaaS company with Hyros, or things like media companies. They're just kind of turning their businesses, their followings into real businesses rather than just like slinging courses and programs and stuff. That's what people on the high end are doing, and that's what's working right now. Versus people who are trying to go with this outdated playbook of sorts and just like sell coaching and courses and dumb shit like that. that is really struggling right now, especially on cold traffic. Now, are people still making you work? Absolutely. A lot of people are still making you work. It's just the margins are getting thinner and thinner and thinner. The payroll is going up. The close rates are going down. Cost per call is going up. It's getting a lot harder. So you kind of have to run your online business like a real business in 2025, which I see that as a good thing. I think there's a lot of scammers in the industry. I think it's a very welcome change. So if you have been having terrible cash flow management over the last couple of years, if you've just been spending your money on dumb shit instead of reinvesting it back in the business, you should probably, stop doing that. Start running your business like a real business, because that's really what you need to do to succeed today in 2025 and in the coming years as well. So hopefully this video was helpful. Hopefully it gives you a good wake-up call. Got any questions, got any thoughts, feel free to drop a comment on it below.